Possibilities here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We are now joined by Ross Chastain, driver of the number 1 Trackhouse Racing Chevrolet. We will go right into questions for Ross. Start with Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. You already know it's coming because you heard it a while ago. But speaking of one of the most aggressive drivers in the garage, you come up here, you may have some people that owe you 1 or 2 dozen from earlier this year. Are you worried about it? And how will you handle yourself? Trying to get out of this race and into next week at Martinsville.
Just go race. I think that's what's so great about this sport is every 7 days we pack up, move the circus to another town, and we do it all again, right? So I feel like I'm in a good spot in the garage. You know, the summer was definitely tough, and I learned a lot from a lot of that, and we'll continue to learn and evolve throughout this sport and this series. It's incredible to race against your heroes, but it's kind of odd and humbling when your heroes get mad at you. So it's been a learning experience for sure.
All right, we'll go to Jordan and then Bob.
About this being a learning experience, what did you learn?
Just like there's so many races and so many opportunities to pass and be passed. It's not all about the here and now. Like I had to stop living in the moment of each lap and race definitely with a mindset of a broader look across the whole season and see that the entire body of work will get me a lot farther than one pass, not caring about what happens and just putting high risk and putting a lot at risk for what, right? 4th, 7th, why does that really matter? And that if I just look at the whole body of the season, especially with the speed we've had, and letting the car do a lot of the work for me, that then when we get in those positions to win or to go, for that spot late, that it comes a whole lot easier when you've just done it a better way, 2 months before. These guys, they have incredible memories, so they, as I've evolved and learned, it's been easier to race, and that's been nice.
How would you describe your relationship with the fans? It seems, from the outside, your blue collar, your story to get here, and the fact that you've got a little bit of aggressiveness when you drive, that seems to be something that fans would kind of gravitate towards. I'm wondering if you've noticed that and what that relationship is like.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible. We're known in South Florida for farming and agriculture. We're not known for racing. So the Chastain family is not a namesake in the sport. So I didn't come in with a predisposed reputation of my dad. I mean, my dad raced locally down here in South Florida, but it wasn't on this stage. So we've built up our fan base kind of grassroots level through the Mellow Man brand and through my racing over the last decade in the sport. And I haven't done myself probably a lot of favors with my social media and my online presence to push myself, but that's just not me. I'm not one that's just going to willingly and naturally go and just, post selfie videos and do YouTube channels. My group has to push me, but I've surrounded myself with people that we're evolving and we're learning how to present ourselves on social media, right? And I think that combined with the speed of the Trackhouse cars has created, a lot more cheers at driver intros and some boos, right, along the way. And then I also didn't do myself any favors in those moments, I'd say, throughout the summer where, like, the spotlight was on us and I got out and my post-race interviews were not appealing. I look back and I'm like, I wouldn't root for that guy. He drives one way, then he talks the other, and he doesn't know what he wants, and he apologizes, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. So that's part of the evolution as well, I think.
Do the boos bother you at all? Do you care, or is it is what it is and nothing you can do about it?
It's funny because when I hear them, I almost smile because it's wild. It's wild that people care enough about me and my racing career. I think that's why they're booing me, at least, that they want to boo me. and they'll audibly stand up or whether they're sitting down or whatever. I can't really tell, and and they'll do it. So I smile has just kind of been my natural reaction. But yeah, I mean it's different, right? It's not something that as a kid no kid, right, wants to be booed. You want to be booed on the playground at recess, and you don't want to be booed in a NASCAR race. But I'm a big boy now, and I've learned that like it's gonna happen, and we got a lot more cheers and boos. I can say that.
All right, we'll go to Bob, and then Mike Bagley, and then Holly.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Denny was on Danica's podcast the other day, and he said that when you guys went to breakfast, you said, when you grew up racing, you had to knock somebody out of the way to pass, pretty much. And I'm curious, when did it kind of occur to you, if that's accurate? When did it occur to you, like, man, that's not the way everybody grew up racing, and that's not the way everybody races?
Yeah. I think people remember things in a better light than they might have actually been. Like, we remember the good old days a little better than the old days might have actually been. And look, I grew up with guys at a Saturday night short track over on the west coast of Florida, and yeah, that was Randy Fox. He crashed and fought for 7th in a late model race, and had beverages after and hung out all night in the pits after the race. I just don't think it was just this perfect little racetrack in Virginia that everybody raced so eloquently. I just think the good old days might be being remembered a little better than they actually were. So, but it's good though. It is at this level. Look, some of the things I did throughout the summer were just not. Looking back, I would do them different. And some of it would just be my stance after the race. I would do different. But a lot of on-track stuff I could definitely clean up. But the Cup Series, I've never driven cars this fast, and I wanted to just take full advantage of it because I thought it might go away. And now, as I've seen throughout the playoffs, is where it really opened my eyes that Trackhouse's arrival here is to stay. We're not just a flash in the pan. Early in the season, when the car was fresh and no one really knew how the springs and shocks worked. So, yeah, my guys that I raced against growing up, Joe Winchell, these guys, I watched them when I was running the pro trucks, and they were running late models, and then when I got in late models in the pro trucks as well, or just slam or be slammed. And I think the good old days are being remembered better than they are or were.
Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Bagley, MRN Sirius XM. You mentioned your family, and obviously you're from Alva over by Fort Myers. Hurricane Ian did a lot of damage over there. Have you been back? What are your thoughts about where things are, and where are things right now over there in your part of the country or where you're from?
I've not been back. I was there about a week or so before it hit, and everybody was kind of getting ready, but it's a hurricane. They come every so often, and it really wasn't a big deal. And when it hit, it was a big deal. So yeah, the coast took the brunt of it. We're inland a little bit, but our houses are fine, and everybody's living in their homes now. Little roof damage here and there, little screen porch damage, but the main thing was just the amount of water that came on shore. So we have neighbors and friends that houses flooded, and it's I haven't been there. A lot of my family is here for my race and Chad's race, that my brother this weekend, and they're just like, we're just ready to take a break. Like, the cleanup and the rebuilding is going to be for years, and we're just like, let's just come enjoy the race, and it'll all be there on Monday when we drive back. But they just keep telling me that I won't believe it when I do see it. Even when I come back after Phoenix, I'll get home at some point, and you will not be able to comprehend what it looks. It just looks like another country, just something you see online or on the news or on TV or online. And so for the farm, we pretty much survived. There's there's some damage and pole barns are down, but our main facility stayed up and offices are in working order. So we'll be shipping watermelons just like we always have.
Dave Moody, MRN Sirius XM. Obviously, this is the high water mark of your career in terms of competing for a major national championship. How important is it, how difficult is it to remain focused on what we have to do here today instead of letting yourself wander off down the path to, oh my God, in 2 weeks we could be racing for the Cup Series championship?
High mark so far. High mark so far. Luckily for me, I can compartmentalize, and it got it. I had a conversation this week, and the way we were describing me and this person, we were talking about like their life. They felt like was one big box, and everything was always intermingled, and all the wires were connected. I'm like, no, I think mine is box by box by box. So I open one box, and all the other boxes automatically shut. It's just how I'm wired. So I think that's what makes part of my racing ability, for better or worse. What it is that I'm not saying I'm full-blown goldfish, but about every lap feels like a new lap. And when I come back around, I have a new expectation of what I can do, and it doesn't have a lot of bearing. I mean, yeah, I take each lap and build my notebook throughout the weekend and the race and my career, my life, but I can go lap by lap a lot easier than if you ask me to think about something 2 weeks from now. I'm like, man, I'm in Homestead. I haven't even put any thought into Martinsville, let alone Phoenix. So those that know me know that's not just a sweet answer up here. That's the truth. For better or worse sometimes. Sometimes it's not a good thing.
All right, we're going to do our best to fit in 3 more questions. We're going to go to Holly, Jerry, and then finish with Tim in the back.
Holly Kane, the NASCAR Wire Service, and this is a little bit of a combination of some of the questions, but this is the first time you've come to your home track having won Cup races. You are a Cup winner. You're leading the championship points. Just talk a little bit about what that feels like for you to be here and to be able to say that you did that, and you've got, your people coming to the track and things like that.
Yeah, it's actually so the nerves side is an easy one to talk about, and I have less nerves right now than I did a couple years ago when I came here for a truck championship with Nice Motorsports in 2019, because that was the first time that had ever happened. That was the first time I'd ever been in the playoffs and made a run, and we were here fighting for a championship, and that definitely had a lot more nerves. And then this weekend, my brother's running the truck race, so honestly, I get more nervous for that. Odd as that sounds, like I'm way more fine with the Cup race and doing everything I need to do with my group. But when I don't have control and he's out racing, I just, wish I could have control, and I don't, right? It's their deal. It's his team, and I'm just up in the grandstands by myself fidgeting. So those two things like play into, it takes my mind off how serious what we're doing with the one car right now. But it feels good, and feels really good to see the smiles of my family and friends and guys that let me drive race cars when I was 14 years old. Like, there was only a few that weren't my dad, and a couple of those guys are here, and just enjoying the weekend, living out all of our dreams of racing in the Cup Series. And it was their dreams too, and they're living it through me.
Yeah, Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. I want to go back to where you said, earlier in the year, people may have thought that Trackhouse was a flash in the pan, that y'all, wouldn't make it to this level. What was it about Trackhouse this year that, behind the scenes, what happened to the organization, to the crew, to the drivers, to get you to where you're at, to get Daniel to where he was at? How did y'all make that happen, and how did y'all learn this car and build from basically scratch?
Yeah, well, it starts with this car, and this is an unprecedented move by NASCAR and the France family to roll out this car, and everything that it stands for is why Trackhouse is here in the first place. Justin would not have went on this endeavor of Cup racing. He's smart enough to know he was never going to catch up with the old car, and so that's why we got here. And then as we got here, look, I don't know why. I don't know enough about race cars to truly know why our cars go as fast as they do. I know the things we do, and I know the procedures we have in place, and we think we know that we're doing the right thing, but it's racing, and somebody can always build a better box. So for me, throughout the year, just continuing to have that speed is why we're not just a quick blip on the Cup Series radar. This is our arrival, and look, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you I know why our cars go fast. That's for somebody way smarter than me. I just drive them.
All right, we'll take our final question from Tim.
Tim Reynolds from the AP here in Miami. Kind of an off-topic one to end it on. Were you in school for the Dunk City run? Can you believe it's been a decade, and how does that team still kind of resonate for you?
Yeah, so I only did one semester plus 2 weeks of my second semester of college, and Bobby Daughter called me and said, "Hey, let's go run full time. We can, if you can do what you said you can do, then we can do this." So I packed my stuff and wrote a letter to the school and said I'm done. And that would have been, I graduated in 2011, so yeah, I was there the next semester for 2012 or later that year. I don't know where that timing lined up, but followed it. Obviously, yeah, followed it. Does it feel like 10 years ago? No, neither does me starting in the sport in 2011 when I was still in high school. It doesn't feel like that long ago. That was a big deal for us, and to me, it's a little school, and it was big at the time to go there and come from my little Riverdale high school to big college. But yeah, I didn't stay there long, and I made the jump to Charlotte and Mooresville and chased this dream.
All right, Ross, thank you so much, and good luck this weekend.